All right, welcome everybody to, sorry we're a little late, we had technical difficulties, but welcome to a live cooking class, and that's what live is all about, right? So, and you can also catch this recorded and then on our website, basicsmarket.com, we're doing these classes live and then we're putting them up on our website so you can reference them. If you want to go back and maybe do the dish along with me, that'd be kind of neat. You could press pause or fast forward through through some of the bits. But so we're building a library there of these classes. So it's pretty neat. If you miss a class live, you can go there and you can look at a recipe that you might be interested in. We're also doing little mini videos of some of the skills, like knife skills and so forth. So if you're interested, you can look at those, or you want to see how to dice a carrot or something. We'll have some videos like that and some little recipes there also. So please visit our website to look at recipes, including this one, the golden milk steamed rockfish with vegetables that we're doing tonight. So in the stores, in the physical stores, we have these recipe cards, and they come out every month. We kind of rotate through, and then we're doing classes with some of the recipes. Um, Also, these recipes are all available online on the website, and you can print them from there if you'd like, and do what you will with them. Um, all right, so with these recipes and sometimes we'll be featuring some of the products that we make here at Basics. A little about Basics: it's a local market. We have our own agriculture, including milk. So we have some dairies, we have some cows, and one of the neat things that the dairy people came up with was, so Lulabelle's is the name of our milk line. We have this ultra filtered high protein milk. Now this stuff is really neat to work with it because you have the high protein, low fat, and yet it it drinks like a fuller fat milk. Um, it's lactose free, which a lot of people are looking for lactose free milk. Comes in a couple sizes, like the big bottle, and then I got this little guy that I'll be using for cooking with tonight. Um, it's organic, and the cows are free range. They eat organic grass, and then also we grow the feed otherwise for them. So uh, they're happy cows and making happy milk. And then this ultra filtered is just a fun process and a healthy way to drink to get extra protein and lower fat. Anyway, it's a delicious part of this dish. So let's talk a little bit about golden milk. Golden milk comes from India originally, and it's milk flavored with turmeric. Um, Originally, golden milk, and traditionally it's just milk flavored with turmeric. In India, there's a long history of using turmeric for health benefits, and there's there's evidence that turmeric can help with anti-inflammatory or inflammation. It is anti-inflammatory and other health conditions. So it's a healthful deal. And in this recipe, we're pairing it with ginger. So in culinary terms, the turmeric and the ginger pair really well together. And for the health benefits as well, they're both anti-inflammatory. Um, so we're going to be using powdered turmeric tonight. You can also get fresh turmeric root, and that is fun to work with too. Either way, it'll give everything a really nice yellow color, and then the powdered ginger as well. And really, this is a nice simple recipe. We've got those two uh, spices. We've got some olive oil, salt and pepper, and then otherwise we're going to have one leek, one carrot, and 2 stalks of celery, a lemon, and then I've got some herbs to finish with, some chives and some dill. Um, all right, so let's kind of get into this. I think we'll start. I have my oven preheated to 375 degrees back here. I've got a skillet, 10-inch skillet with a lid. Um, and any sort of pan you have will work well if you've got a lid and enough space in the pan to do this. Cast iron is a good way to go because it has that nice, slow, even heat, and it retains its heat really well, and it's great to go from the stove top to the oven. So I've got the skillet on a medium-low kind of setting to start here. And what we're going to do to begin is we're going to go ahead and put the turmeric and the ginger right in the skillet and just sort of let it, what we call bloom. We're blooming the spices here. And that just means you're putting the spices in your pan. You're going to stir them around a little bit and let them get fragrant and bloom up a little bit. So I'm just going to mix them around. And while that's happening, I can start to prep some vegetables. I like to keep a bowl handy when I'm prepping vegetables. It's nice to have to put your scraps in. And we're going to get some good scraps here tonight for like stock making. If you like to make your own soup stocks, the top end of the leek, this green part, is really makes a great broth. And if you're making chicken stock or just some veggie stock, you know, drop these guys in there, and it gives it really great flavor. So for your stock, and another little tip, it's like if you keep a Ziploc bag or a covered container in your freezer with your veggie scraps, then you can pull them out when you get enough and make some stock. So I just kind of go down on the leek down to where it starts getting a little lighter. And this is all the usable part as far as the dish goes here. And then I'm going to go ahead and as always, you know, we're finding that balance point on our knife blade. You want to pinch not too tight between your thumb and forefinger. Have your left hand well out of the way. Utilize the claw to secure that leek on there. And then we're just going to rock through there gently and knock off the end. So then we've got this bit of leek, and here I'm just going to take off the outer layer. Now leeks grow in sand and mud, so they're kind of dirty. Dirt gets trapped because they have all these little layers, right? So we always want to wash them well. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to julienne all the vegetables in your recipe. If you're following along with the recipe, there's an option on like the carrots where you can do a spiral cut. And, you know, which if you have one of those spiralizer things, that's kind of a fun cut. I'm just stirring the spices a little bit as they bloom, and it's still on that nice medium-low heat. So you don't want to burn your spices, right? You just want them to bring. You just want to really, you're bringing the aroma and the flavor out with a little bit of heat. Okay, so now, as always, we're going to put the flat side down on the vegetable. And the leek runs in a direction, and so we're cutting these guys lengthwise, and so we're going for thin strips, or what's sometimes referred to as julienne, and simple as that. And then we're going to wash them. And to wash them, to wash the leeks, you want a sieve or a strainer. Okay, and so I've kind of got a little setup here. I've got my sieve, I've got a bowl just to catch any excess water after I've rinsed these guys off. And then I'm just going to run over to the sink very quickly and give them a rinse. And then, of course, I forgot my bowl to catch the water. There we go. And now we've got it back. So there's the leeks, and we'll just put those aside for a moment and see what else we have. We have a carrot. And so a carrot we shall peel. Put that in our compost, the peel, and then we'll look at cutting this in a julienne fashion. So I'm taking either end off, and then so this carrot is fairly long. I'm going to cut it in half, and then generally I like to cut vegetables to where they're shorter than the blade if I'm doing a julienne, and that's just so I can get good leverage on it. And then one way to approach the julienne with a carrot is to knock off a little bit in it. And again, with vegetables, right, we get all kinds of shapes and sizes. And so as cooks, we want to be safe with the knife. So you always want to create a flat plane or a flat surface to cut off of. And so here with the carrot, you know, to start, I've cut it, I've got a flat plane on the end here. And now I can very carefully shave off a little bit to create a flat surface on one side. And then I've got this pretty stable, you know, very stable, I'll say, surface here. And from here, we can cut thin kind of rectangles. And then we can cut across those rectangles, and then you get really nice julienne or matchstick, you know. And if you're feeling, you know, if you feel confident about this and you can be safe, you know, you can stack a couple, and this speeds things up a tad. You don't want to stack too many to where you have a toppling, you know, tower, but stack a few or a couple, and it'll just goes quicker. A lot of these like knife skill type things have just been through time. You know, cooks have developed ways to just be more efficient in the kitchen. You know, if you're producing a lot of food, or even just, you know, like a lot of us are cooking every day, you figure out little ways to make things go quicker and easier. So here we have some nice julienne. You'll notice the knife tip is always down before I start the slice, and then you slice easily. And I never put too much pressure on my knife blade, because if it did slip, it's nice. You just kind of want it to fall right out, so that, you know, you don't have the opportunity to cut yourself. And along those lines, you want to have a nice sharp knife. All right, so there's those julienne. And the sharp knife is so that you don't have to put too much pressure on the item you're cutting. So next, let's look at celery. So the celery, pulled off the stalk, gave it, or we'll give it a rinse. I can't remember if I rinsed it yet, but give it another rinse. And same deal, I'm just going to cut it in half, and then cut right down following the natural lines of the celery. Um, with all the cutting of vegetables and even, meat, um, there's an anatomy to follow, and often, you'll find these lines, and those are your best bet for making some easy cuts and following the natural line. So we have the two stalks or branches of celery. And we're just going to, some of these I'm kind of going back over just to, you kind of want everything to be of a similar size. As far as thickness goes, I mean, the celery and the leeks are a little longer than the carrot, but as the thickness wise, they're, real similar. And so what that allows is for the for the vegetables to cook at an even rate, and that's important. As you're cooking, you want them to cook evenly. Um, and sometimes you'll run into recipes where you have, things that are going to cook at different rates, and that's when you start looking at, well, what am I going to throw in first? And so like when a great classic example and kind of an everyday example would be onions, right? And you always put your onions in first and kind of get those started, and then you put like your celery and your carrots in, things that cook a little quicker. And then they'll all kind of come together at one time. All right, so this is smelling pretty nice. We've got some bloom going on. I'm going to go ahead and bring the heat up a little bit. I'm going to check our recipe just because I want to make sure I'm following along with everyone else here. So we're not burning the spices. We're going to remove the skillet from the heat and add all the vegetables with the toasted spices. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to kind of put it off the skillet, or the skillet off the heat a little bit, and then we're going to go ahead and throw our veggies. Oh, that does smell good. Turmeric just has this really great earthy quality to it, and it's a nice background. Like turmeric is a main ingredient in curry, and it's really what gives curry. Somehow it's almost like it's a canvas for all the other spices to sort of float on top of. To me, I think of it that way. It allows you to taste everything, but it has its own kind of underlying nice flavor. All right, so we're just kind of coating all the veggies with those spices. And get a nice even coat over there. And then next, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get our fish out, I guess, and then we'll put the milk, the oil, and the lemon on there. Okay, so I'm just going to bring this skillet up a little bit, get it going on low heat while I grab my fish, and you can leave it off also, depending on what kind of unit you're cooking on. This one tends to cool off quickly, so it's going to keep that little bit of heat under it. All right. So we have rockfish here. This recipe works well with just about any protein. I've done this recipe with chicken, and we had really good results. Cod is a nice piece of fish with this. Um, then we've got the rockfish here. So rockfish is an interesting species in that it matures very slowly. A rockfish can actually live up to 200 years. They can become 200 years old. And that's sort of why sometimes we see, sometimes it's hard to find rockfish, and they live off the west coast from, down to California to Alaska. And they were overfished for a while, and now they're coming back, but it still takes a while for them to reproduce. They take many years to reproduce, and they can live up to 200 years old, which is pretty neat. But halibut would be another nice choice for this, and that's another long-living fish, I believe. Anyway, rockfish is a lovely fish, and you want to kind of look for some thicker fillets. I like with this particular recipe. And when you get a rockfish fillet, often the bones will still be there, and that's the case here. You have some pin bones along there, and so you just run your finger like so, and then cut a little V, and you can take those right off. Okay. And then just make sure you don't have any more bones, and then you can cut the fillet into a desirable size. Again, feel for the bones, cut your V, and I'm just going to cut these in half. So when you're buying any sort of fish, and including rockfish, you do want to make sure you're getting getting it from a sustainable source, because we want to be able to eat fish forever, and our oceans are so important. So it's good to support sustainable fisheries. Okay, so we'll go ahead and bring the heat up a little bit again to medium, and place those fillets around our veggies. And this is, and like I mentioned, you can use, you could even do this like with tofu or tempeh if you're not a meat eater, and it would be good. This is just a really neat technique for cooking all kinds of stuff, and you could play around with different vegetables underneath, depending what you have on hand. I'm just going to wash my hands quickly. Okay, now we'll get down to the fun part. Let's see. I think so we've got our. Now we're going to. Forgot our salt and pepper. So I'm going to go ahead and put the salt and pepper around. Now, pepper is important when you're cooking with turmeric. It has been discovered that those anti-inflammatory benefits from turmeric are accessed much better when you add black pepper to turmeric. So a lot of recipes using turmeric, you'll notice there's black pepper involved, and it actually aids your body in absorbing the turmeric, and it increases your absorption of those components of the turmeric by 2,000%. So it's quite a lot, and so a little black pepper in your turmeric recipes is important. Okay, Now, for the lemon. So lemon, we're going to take the ends off, and then we're going to cut it in 8 pieces. And so for that, you know, and if it, I'm going to go see if I can get 8, and if not, well, that's okay. Lemons also come in many sizes, but I might be able to get 8. Okay, let's see what I got. 2, 4, 6, 7, pretty close. And so we're going to go ahead and place our lemon over the top, and then just try to get 1 on each piece at least. And then here's a little bigger fillet, so I'll put a couple lemons on that. And it already looks pretty good. Now we'll go ahead and drizzle oil. I've got the 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and drizzle that over our fish and veggies. I kind of concentrate a little bit on the fish here with the oil to get it lubricated a bit. All right, and then we've got our milk, and what do we got? I think a cup, 1 cup of milk. So here's a cup measure. Here's some milk, and again, it's the high protein, low fat milk. And so this milk is one of the neat products that has been developed by Basics, and one of the wonderful things about working with Basics is you know, we do have a mission of nourishing communities through food, nourishing healthy communities through food, and things like these free cooking classes are one way, and developing real healthful programs and products is something that we enjoy doing, and I think this milk is a great example of that. Okay, so we've got the milk, we've got the oil in there, and now we're going to cover it and just bring it to a simmer for a little bit. And once again, I'm going to look reference the recipe. So we've got it over the medium-high heat. Yes, check. And then we've got our lid on there. And then we've got our oven heated. So we'll go ahead, and it shouldn't take long to come up to a simmer. Oh yeah, we're already kind of simmering. So I'm going to find a ladle. Here's one. And then we're just going to kind of ladle our nice sauce over the fish. So we're going to get that juice over the top a bit, and you can lift the pan to get at that stuff a little better, and ladle it up. And we just want to get everything sort of coated. Here we go. Oops. Keep those lemons on there, right? All right, now we've got a good simmer going. And cover. And we'll pop this in the oven. All right, and hopefully it's not going to be too noisy. I kicked the oven on a little bit there for a moment. Get that cooked off. Meanwhile, let's let's go ahead and look at some of the choices for a garnish. Um, so chives are a great thing here for garnishing and finishing the dish. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to want approximately a tablespoon, and the chives you just line up, cut across, and you want to chop these sort of fine. And as always, feed the knife, but don't give it your fingers. There we go. And then I chose some dill. You have some options with this, tarragon, fennel, dill. The dill is always good with fish. I like fennel with this dish also. Sometimes you can get like the fennel bulb with the um, the fuzzy guy here. The word is escaping me, but the top, and and then you can actually julienne that bulb and put it right in like with your carrots and leeks and stuff, and it's quite nice. And then use the top for garnishing and for the fresh herb on top. So this dill, I'm just going to kind of rough chop a little bit so we can spread it out. You could also, if you had some nice fronds, I guess fronds, is that the word I'm looking for? Frond. You could put those over the top and that'd look pretty cool. All right. So, um, that. Great. So I'm going to grab a plate so we can have a look at how it plates up. And I do want to mention that if you have questions, please, you can enter those in the chat. I think there's a chat thing. Oh, and here we go. There's questions coming. Great. First question, if you use fresh turmeric and ginger, do you use the amounts? Good, great question. And I would say, I mean, what are we looking at? I would use a little more, maybe start with like double the amounts. This was like, what was this, a teaspoon and a half, I think. I mean, I'd almost go like if I was using fresh, I maybe even more than double. I might take it up to a tablespoon, of each and just grate it really fine, like on a microplane or a fine grate. Um, yeah, and so good question, thank you. Another question, what other veggies can you use? Can you cut them differently? Well, you know, you could use um, many other veggies here. You kind of want, again, we're looking at having them cook at a similar rate. So it'd be a matter of things that you can cut down to a similar size. But, like I mentioned before, the fennel. The fennel is a good option. Using that fennel bulb in there would be really nice. Um, you might, yeah, and just other like root vegetables could be good here. Anything that's colorful. You want to stay away from anything that's too soft. Say like zucchini might just kind of fall apart on you. So something that's going to kind of keep a little bit of integrity. Um, Another question: what if your fish has skin on it? Well, that could kind of be a personal choice. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the oven off just because I feel it's pretty noisy and I think we've created enough heat. Uh, Um, so if you have the skin on the fish, it's your choice. I mean, I don't have a fish with a skin right now to show you how to take the skin off, but that's a fun thing to learn. Um, but you can leave the skin on the fish, and sometimes the skin can kind of be an interesting part of the dish, not necessarily to eat, but it just kind of looks neat. You might poke a couple holes through the top just kind of to let it vent a little bit, but I put it skin side up. And when you're cooking fish, a little with the skin side up, it kind of, and this is a steamed dish, right? And so that helps create that steam and keeps it in there. Um, so that there's that. Let's check on the dish. Um, smells good. See how we're going. Well, looks like we still have a little ways to go here. Go ahead and keep that on. And so the technique, this sort of steaming technique, like I mentioned before, is good for once you kind of learn that from the stovetop to the oven. Like I mentioned, you can use all kinds of different proteins, and it's a really nice, gentle way to cook. I have a question. Do I have a favorite cuisine? No, I like it all. I like all the cuisines, and I love cooking because there are so many cuisines, and there's always new stuff to learn, different ways of doing things, and it's this wonderful, endless endless amount of things to learn about. I go, what I like to do, like with a recipe like this, where there's a technique, and so sometimes I'll just kind of hit that same technique um, over a period of a month or something, or even longer, and just kind of keep trying out different things with it, and applying different flavor profiles from different parts of the world is always fun. All right. And then once again, you can find our recipes on our website, thebasicsmarket.com, and also in the stores you can get the recipe cards, and we have these really neat, um, colorful recipe cards in the stores. Um, and we're always working on new recipes for the recipe cards and developing stuff. Okey-dokey. So with fish, you want to bring it up to about 145 degrees. That's kind of the minimum for fish. If you like it cooked more, you can just leave it in there a little longer. Okay. So along those lines, we're going to grab a thermometer. Having one of these in your kitchen is a great tool. This is a digital thermometer. It's an instant read, so especially for cooking meat where you're looking at, for safety reasons, you want to bring it to minimum temperatures. And like I mentioned, fish would be 145 degrees. Go ahead and just pop that in, poke it into the fish and check it. And I'm going to do that in 1 second. Got a couple more questions. Could you make this in a Dutch oven? Yeah, a Dutch oven would be perfect. But I have one. If if you're not familiar with a Dutch oven, it's this guy. These are another wonderful thing to have in your kitchen. It comes with a lid, and again, it's a good thing to go from stove top into the oven. And you can put so much, and you know, I like to make sourdough bread, and that I have had the best luck using a Dutch oven to actually bake the bread in because it creates its own steam environment. Um, so you don't have to add extra water, which you do sometimes when baking sourdough. You need to add water into your oven. If you're using the Dutch oven, you don't need to do that. So with this recipe, it's a steam-based recipe. So Dutch oven would be great. And then how can we get the recipe? Once again, we've got recipe cards in the stores if you're in one of our basics, 5 basics locations around the Portland area. And then otherwise, you can just go onto our website, basicsmarket.com, and we have a whole recipe library there, including this recipe, and you can even print it right off that website. If I'm to use tempeh, should I slice it into strips and use it raw or fried? Oh, neat. Boy, I really like tempeh a lot. Tempeh is made from soybeans, just like tofu, but the difference is tempeh is a fermented food, or tofu is made from soy milk, it's kind of made like cheese. You have the soy milk, and then you add the nigari, which is a salt water basically, and then it curdles, and you press those curds, and you get curds and lay like cheese. Now tempeh is fermented, and because of that, it's like whole soybeans where a special bacteria is added, and it creates B vitamins, which you don't get in tofu, and you get that really unique flavor. So with tempeh, one cool trick with tempeh is to boil it a little bit. So when I'm working with tempeh, I'll usually take the whole block, I'll boil it a bit, and that gets rid of some of the bitter undertones you can get with tempeh. So I would boil it, and that's just like for about 5 minutes or something. And then I would slice it for this dish. I wouldn't fry it. I think, you just would place it on there and just let it get nice and tender with the steam. And I think that would be a really good dish. And I should mention you can do this dish with coconut milk as well. And the tempeh reminds me of coconut milk because tempeh is an Indonesian product originally, came from Indonesia. And it pairs really nice with coconut milk. I do a lot of like tempeh curries with coconut milk, or some this is reminiscent of something like that. And I think that could be a fun way to go. And then you'd have a vegan dish. Okay, we're going to try this again. Well, I think we actually have some good heat. This darn oven is so noisy. All right, let's see what we got. Okay, now we're cooking. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to check the temperature, of course, right? Oh yeah, right on the money, 145. Hallelujah. Okay, so very pretty, right? Now we can plate it up. Let's see. Oh, let's see. How would you cut fennel? Would you still julienne the bowl? Um, yeah, yes. And right now on our website at basicsmarket.com, we have a really lovely fennel salad recipe that just went up. And so if you go to the website and you go to classes and recipes, you can click on the recipes there. And then there's a little demo, like a quick demo on putting this fennel salad together. And it shows you how to cut up a fennel bowl. But yeah, I would julienne it for this recipe. And again, you just kind of want the similar thickness of vegetables. Um, Um, okay, so let's go ahead and, oh, can you use almond milk? Sure. I think you could use the almond milk. You know, you'd have, if you like the flavor of almond milk, um, and it would work great. I think any milk substitute could work well here. Um, okay, so let's go ahead and see how we could plate this up. So I'm just going to gently push some of the fillets to the side, and then put some of our lovely vegetables. I got a lot of celery on that side for some reason. Try to get some of these carrots also. There we go. So yeah, you would just take some of your veggies, put it down on your plate, and then we've got our fish, the lemon, right? Oh yeah, oh yeah. Let's see, like so maybe, and you know, and then we can use the ladle again, and we'll get some of the lovely juices. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, that, I'm, I can always will grab a handle when it's like hot out of the oven, and I should take my own advice, which is as soon as you pull your, you know, with your mitt, you pull the skillet out of the oven, go ahead and put the mitt on there to remind you that it's hot, and then also you can grab it. Um, Luckily, I seem to not have any feeling left in my hands. I've done that so many times that until I smell my own flesh burning, I don't know what's going on. All right. So, and I will leave that mitt on there though, because I tell you what, I will grab that again. If there's a handle, I'm going to grab it. Um, all right. And so then you can get real fancy here, and you know, you're the artist, and this is your canvas, right? You got some nice colors to work with. Um, so we got the chives, we've got dill in this case, and so any of these herbs you put on top will just kind of take it in with that direction, which whatever direction you like. Again, like with the fennel, you put those fennel fronds on here, and you have the fennel bulb in there. That's a pretty neat take on this. All right, so there we go. Um, I guess I should taste it, right? Um, I, I know that some of you who are tuning in have been to our classes in person, and of course the best part is this part, right, where we get to taste it, and now you have to make it yourself if you want to taste it. Um, but I'll taste it for you, and hopefully that'll at least be a little bit of a delight. Let's see. Very nice. Yeah, you know, it's a great dish. Um, are there written in instructions available? Um, this person says they can't hear, so they would like written instructions. Well, again, the recipe is online, and I think if you put the recipe, um, you know, read the recipe through and watched the video along with it, you could get a pretty good idea. Um, Thank you for tuning in, everybody. I hope you enjoy making this dish, and that you get some of the basic skills from these classes. And one thing I would like to say is once you've got the basics, the sky's the limit. And I'll see you next week with another recipe.